to have you guys on, and got a good little. It's about a 2-hour webinar that we'll go through and kind of go over everything from who is Qolsys to understanding our new IQ2 panel. My name is Mark Bateman. I've been in the industry now since 2002, and I actually first got to know Qolsys in 08 when I actually did some beta testing for Qolsys back then on their Gen 1 panel, and developed a great relationship with them. And then as time went on, I was able to join the Qolsys team. I'm very proud to be a member of this team. So if you guys do have any questions as we go through this, please, since everybody is muted, just to make this run smooth, you can chat in your questions. And we have Jeremy Blakeney. He's one of our top guys here, one of our top TAMs, and he'll be responding to those questions for you. If there's something we didn't get to at the end, and you feel like a question does come up, you can always email that into our tech support. And at the end of this presentation, we will go over the contact for our tech support and other forms of tech support communication, with the phone number and whatnot. So let's get this thing going. And like I said, if you do have any questions, just feel free to chat those in to Jeremy Blakeney, and he'll make sure he gets those covered for you. Our agenda, we're going to be covering a lot of things, the hardware of the panel, an overview, the software, and some testing and tools, additional programming, all this stuff is coming up here. And then kind of finish off with support. And throughout the whole webinar, you'll be able to chime in on Q&As. That's one of the nice things is a lot of times when we are giving a presentation that's live, people might not feel like, hey, I can chime in right now, and then they end up forgetting their question. You guys have the freedom just to chime in and give questions as we go through this. A little overview of Qolsys, who we are. We're a Silicon Valley company. Our headquarters are down in San Jose, just close to the airport, and it's always been our goal to think about the future, and and with home security and smart home, and kind of be a leader when it comes to the manufacturing of this product. Our founders, Dave and Mike, met together back in 2010, and Mike Hackett, his background was more he was with eBay, and he started helping eBay get set up where people could use eBay to set up stores, and he did a lot with helping eBay take things to the next level. And then Dave Pulling, he has a huge background in Silicon Valley and has many connections with the software side of things, and those two together have really helped as the founders put together a team here at Qolsys to really make some neat things happen and kind of deliver that best-in-class service with a very best price point, at the end of the day. So let's go through this presentation together. One of the most important things that makes Qolsys so strong is our partnerships. Going through these, you can see here there's a Foxconn. Most people have heard of Foxconn. They've been in the news recently for they're going to be opening a plant up in Wisconsin, and they just announced that they're going to be, I can't believe it was 25,000 or 50,000 jobs they're going to start up here in the U.S., and that's going to be up in Wisconsin. But Foxconn is known for creating panels. We've got the iPhone out there, it's made by Foxconn, the iPad. A lot of those devices, your smartphones that everybody has in their pockets, are made by Foxconn. And why are they made by Foxconn? They're one of the best out there. They, people go to them knowing that they're going to get, exceptional quality in their in the technology that they put together in the electronics, and it's so Foxconn, a very strong partner, and that's who makes our panels, the IQ2, the IQ Remote. The The other partner that's really strong is Android. And we'll kind of go through these separately too, but Android, everybody knows who Android is. So we'll get more into that as we get into this. Then Alarm.com. Alarm.com has been the leader with their app and their internet development and all that with alarm systems since they got on the scene. And one of the fastest growing companies out there in the alarm industry. And it's been amazing to see what they do. We partner with them, and they are our sole partner when it comes to the application we have. And twice a week we meet with Alarm.com and we get feedback from them, and they get feedback from us. And we share resources to have such a strong partnership and make things run smooth with the panel. We work with you guys, and we rely on our dealers and those companies that are using our panel for feedback, so we can constantly make our panel better, and we can make things better with Alarm.com. The last great partner we want to talk about real quick is Qualcomm. Qualcomm, people may know them best for their stadium up in Seattle with the Seahawks. Some people love the Seahawks, some don't, but Qualcomm is what we get our system on a chip from. The quad-core processor. It's a SNAPDRAGON chip, and that's where the whole system kind of comes from to make this our panel work. Better in every way. The IQ panel compared to our IQ1 or our first generation panel, you could kind of compare that to the iPhone 1 when it came out years back. As far as the type of gestures it had, the camera on it. This IQ panel 2 is more like an iPhone 7. That's as far as the technology goes. We've really stepped it up. So it has a better touchscreen, a 7-inch multi-gesture capacitive glass, very clean, very smooth. It's what people expect it's what the end consumer is going to expect to have, just being used to using their phones and their tablets and how they work. Our panel is just like that. It has a better panel camera with the 5-megapixel HD photos, and it does we'll do alarm videos. If there's an alarm that's on the front of the panel. To put that in perspective, our first panel was a 1.3 megapixel camera. This one is 5 megapixel. That's the same amount of megapixels on that camera that faces you on like an iPhone. So the front-facing camera is a 5-megapixel camera. It's very clean, and as we get to that point, you'll be able to see some of the photos that it's taken and how it takes a very clean photo. We have the better processor with that Qualcomm Snapdragon quad-core chipset, and dual path. We have better dual path. Our panel uses both Wi-Fi and 4G LTE connectivity. Our sensor ecosystem is amazing with the Z-Wave Plus. That's the upgraded Z-Wave for some of you that have not heard of it. In some of our trainings, a lot of people are like, what, Z-Wave Plus? I've heard of Z-Wave, but not Plus. Z-Wave Plus is just the newer Z-Wave. It's stronger. It's just better, but it's also, our system is backward compatible, so it works with that. We got the Bluetooth Low Energy. We have Wi-Fi. We have the S line of our sensors we'll go through. They're an encrypted sensor. And then Power G, the future of Power G technology with our system. And we'll get into that as we go through this. As far as better connectivity, there's a built-in 802.11 AC, 2.4 and 5.0 gigahertz router. Right now, that is in more of a beta phase, but it is in every panel, and we'll get into that. And we have the better Android version. It's the Android 5 Plus, and that's for a robust feature roadmap and kind of help future-proof the panel as more technologies and better ideas come out. And then we got the better user interface, simple, intuitive, consistent with the app. It's an awesome panel. And we'll just kind of go through this. This is kind of just the front face that you'd see when using the panel when it's not in sleep mode or screen mode. So it's this intuitive user interface. You can slide down. You can see the quick guide menu. You can swipe from page to page. You got the page indicators at the bottom, and then even on the sides you can swipe up and down if you have multiple thermostats or garage doors or locks. Right there you see the disarming photos. So just very, very clean panel. The Qualcomm Snapdragon is a little chip in the packet. It's a system on a chip. That little chip alone has the 4G LTE, long-term evolution. That's pretty much the standard going forward for the industry. Is you need to have the LTE. A lot of dealers now, or a lot of companies, are no longer purchasing, if you're a dealer for them, 3G or those types of radios, because they're no longer going to work. It's just you're guaranteed a service call in the next 2 years to go up and upgrade it to the LTE, the long-term evolution radios. On that chip also is the Wi-Fi router. It's faster, it's more reliable, and that is currently in beta testing. We have the Bluetooth Low Energy. It's the newer Bluetooth. It uses less energy, and that's made for keyless entry, and we'll get into that later on in the presentation. And like I said, it does have a router, private network router, and Android 5+ forward compatibility. As far as when you open up the panel, if you look at if you were looking at one of our panels and the left side of it, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see some daughter card placement. Our first card that's on every panel is the SRF, or the S line. This is supports the 319. That's the same that like GE uses for sensors, and our new S line is an encrypted sensor. Encrypted sensors is also the way to go going forward. Nobody wants to be using the sensors that have been up there today that are not encrypted. So this S line card will hold 128 sensors, or zones. So that does make it so you could do a pretty large house, a lot of zones, a lot of windows, whatnot. Pretty awesome. The next thing is Z-Wave Plus. Every panel comes with this chip on it. It's Z-Wave Plus is double the range. It can have up to 119 Z-Wave devices, 80 light bulbs, 6 locks, 6 thermostats, 6 garage doors, and 21 other devices. So you can have a very large Z-Wave mesh network. As far as the image sensor chip, this is a chip that does not come on every panel, but it's something that just punches in on you can see where the pins would punch in, and then it's just one screw. So it's an optional daughter card that can be added at the time of install if needed. It supports up to 5alarm.com image sensors with the built-in cameras. The reason why this doesn't come with every panel is because through research we found out that only about 5% of customers receive an image sensor. Of course, some companies, they don't use them, so it's more zero. Other companies, it's a huge selling factor, a lot of door-to-door guys, and they sell about 50% of their panels with image sensors. So that's why it's an optional thing. It's to save costs for those that wouldn't need it. And then we have an expansion slot. This is to keep things future-proof. Built-in translators, kind of like the 345, emerging wireless protocols, the Power G, etc. With the built-in router, like we say, this is coming soon. It's the 2.45 gigahertz router, and it's a secure private network for Wi-Fi devices. So this is something that, how the secondary tablet's going to connect, doorbell camera, live video on the panel, other Wi-Fi devices, and having a panel that is, software driven. It allows for the future and things that ideas that we have for the future to better improve our product and bring a better product to the end consumer. The enhanced dual path connectivity. It's one thing I do love about the panel. A lot of panels out there, they might have the when we first heard of cell backup, or one might be that they had the old POTS line, and then cellular became a backup if that failed, and then it kind of got to the point where cellular was the primary, and then Wi-Fi kind of became a backup. what we've done with this panel is simultaneous over cell and Wi-Fi. So if there's something triggers, there's an alarm, that signal gets sent simultaneously through the cell unit and through Wi-Fi. Whichever gets to alarm.com first is what they use. It's amazing, this panel, if you've used other panels and you use it to unlock a door or to turn on lights, turn them off, it's just so much quicker, the response time with that dual path. Investment protection. So we've got the long-term evolution with the 4G, we've got the forward compatible hardware, and then we got regular software updates. And every 4 months we do regular software updates. And these updates, we're constantly looking at the panels that we have in the field being used, over 15,000 right now. And if there's any issues, if we're getting any good feedback from the dealers in these regular software updates, we're able to implement those changes and just make our panel that much better. So it's kind of an investment protection where, hey, you're getting that better LTE radio. You got the forward compatible hardware, and you got the regular software updates. Pretty amazing panel. As far as security and everything we do, you got the Android. Everybody knows Android. It's a very large company, but very secure. Our panel has also a built-in firewall. It has the cloud token authentication. Alarm.com has their own secure connection with their customer base and stuff. They have one of the securest connections out there. With the S-line sensors, they're encrypted. They're amazing. And like I said, it's just adding an extra wall of protection. So you don't have to worry about listening devices. You got the visual verification. That's with the auto. When you disarm your panel, it takes a photo, and we'll get more into that also, but that's security. And then jam detection. With some of the other panels out there, you could actually jam them up with sending so many radio frequencies. Ours has a jam detection built in. And then you have the Bluetooth disarming with our panel, where you can actually connect your smartphone to it through Bluetooth. And it's just made for disarming. When you get within a certain distance of your panel, it would shut it off, and then you could add in rules to turn on lights or unlock your door and things like that. Marcus Anderson said something. He said, software is eating the world. And we've taken that software is kind of changing the game and allowing, it's taking the place of some hardware. With the panel glass break, we actually have a panel glass break built into every panel. It has a 15-foot range, and that's another thing we'll get into more details on. But panel glass break could replace a glass break and potentially save you money from having to use that glass break. As far as remotes, they're kind of becoming more obsolete. They kind of became obsolete with the smartphone, but even now with Bluetooth disarming, it just makes it so, hey, you don't even have to take your phone out of your pocket, and your system can disarm. And then the third thing we have here is the motion, panel motion. And this is something we're looking at more for, not more for like a security motion, but as the camera sees a pixelation change, you could have it set for rules, and hey, after 10 o'clock at night, if somebody walks past your panel, it's in the hallway, you could have it, turn on a light for 5 minutes. Things like that, turn on a lamp. And moving on, so the panel glass break, we're going to go over these three things. So we have the panel glass break. Our panel has 2 microphones underneath it, and they've been fine-tuned to hear glass breaking. Very great. Like we said, that can save you guys money, and it's even a feature where, hey, you weren't thinking of adding the glass break. Now every customer can have a glass break. If it's something you don't want to learn in, you don't have to, but it's just an extra feature that we have with every panel. You know, the software is already there, the hardware is already there. It's something that we took advantage of. The Bluetooth disarming. It's kind of like a touchless fob. With my house personally, as I pull up to my house before I even get to my driveway, as I'm pulling into my driveway, my system turns off. If it's after a certain time, I have a light in my kitchen that turns on for 5 minutes. I have a porch light that'll turn on, and it just kind of makes it, you know, my wife loves it. So when we come home, we come into a house that's already functioning. It can adjust the thermostat. Very unique feature and a very awesome feature we have on this panel. And like I said, that is only for disarming. It's not made for arming. And then we got the motion sensor, how I kind of talked about. The camera detects motion. You can set up rules, you know, for your scenes, and a very, very neat feature. The 5 megapixel camera, this is for disarming photos. As you can see there, that's our Whitney. We have a picture of it, disarm the panel. But what's so neat about this is, you know, your kid comes home from school, it can take that disarming photo, it can send it up to you on your phone, you can get it on your watch, you can see it on the internet through your PC. But we love the disarming photos. We've had some really great feedback on them. So it's especially great, I think, if you have kids and you're able to say, hey, who came in and disarmed the photo? You know, was it your daughter? Did she have somebody in the background with her? It's a great feature. We do have our full line of sensors. You know, as you can see there, this is the IQ Panel 2. That's what we're going over. And then we have the IQ Remote. That's currently starting up in beta. And it's a Wi-Fi tablet, connects through the panel through Wi-Fi. We have our standard sensor line, and then we have also our S line, the secure sensors. But you can see we have a full line of sensors covering everything. One of my favorite ones that we have on here is our 16, it's the IQ 16 hardwire. It connects up to 16 hardwire zones to the IQ panel, and it's a hardwired translator. I think it's one of the best ones out there on the market. I have it in my house, and it's been great. As far as some of the hardware we have, if you look at our panel, if any of you guys have them, or this is what you're going to see, but up top we have the panel camera. We have the user interface, the page indicators down on the bottom. You know, if you get door locks, an additional page indicator will pop up there. If you get like a garage door, linear garage door, another one will pop up. Very intuitive, very clean screen. You got the LED status light. You know, kind of like, hey, if it's green, you know, you're good to go. If it turns red, then, you know, maybe one of your windows is open or active. And then we got the microphones on the bottom part of the panel. As far as on the exterior, the back side of the panel, you've got your mounting holes, and you've got an optional locking screw holes. You got 3 of them that you could you know, lock that panel secure. So if it was as a desktop and it did fall off the desk, you have to worry about it falling apart. You know, if it dropped from a high distance onto a hard floor. You've got the siren, you got a micro SD card slot. That can be used for upgrading the panel. It can also be used for adding photos to the panel. If you want to use that for the screensaver. You got the speakers, you got the rear access cover. That cover would be popped off if you're going to be using it for to be mounted on the wall. And you know, I always hear when I've heard some of the other trainings, they call it a decorative back cover, but yeah, it's just the rear access cover. As far as the interior part, you know, you've got some of these things we went over. Up top, you're going to have that cellular antenna, the image sensor radio, that is optional, the Z-Wave Plus radio, which comes in every panel, the LTE SIM card, which is going to either be through Verizon or AT&T, and then you got the security RF radio, which is the 319. You got a tamper switch down below, the siren, the barrel jack power, which is very nice. Every panel comes with the translator, or the transformer, and then a barrel jack power that you can just plug in. If you did need to you know, extend that or shorten it, and you just wanted to plug it in, we do have a toolless terminal block. Those top 2 on the terminal are red and black to help you know what is positive and what is negative. You know, if you were to snip off that barrel, the side that is white and black dotted would be the positive, and then the solid white side of the wire would be the negative. There's also in that terminal, there's a spot, there are 2 spots to add in sensors, and the bottom 2 would be for if you wanted to add in a siren. That siren, we'll get into that, but it would have to be powered on its own. And then you got the panel battery. So you know this battery should never be disconnected without following the proper shutdown procedures or power down procedures. This panel is kind of like a small computer. It's like your phone. You can go into the menu and actually power it down or shut it down. You can reboot it through going through the menu instead of doing a hard reboot where you just hold the side button. And that kind of goes in, that's kind of right here, the power down. You'd select that in settings on the menu, advanced settings, then select power down, and wait for the LED to turn off before you disconnect the power. This is very important. Failure to perform these steps in the proper sequence may result in data corruption or panel failure. So very important to make sure you power down the panel properly, just like with a computer and other electronic devices that you need to power down properly. As far as the panel reboot, very much the same. Go into settings, advanced settings, the panel reboot, and you just wait for the panel to restart. And sometimes that is good with troubleshooting and stuff. You know, you've always heard, hey, you got to power cycle the panel. This is just a way to do it is through the panel reboot. If you ever had to do a hard reboot, you know, you're going to hold the side power button down for 30 seconds. As it says here, performing a hard reset may result in data corruption or panel failure. So only use this when absolutely necessary. Just like on a computer, you should always try to shut it down. We all know computers freeze and stuff. This would be used, like I said, more just with an absolutely necessary situation, as you can always just go in, as we just discussed, and just shut it down through the menu. As far as looking at the hardware, that wiring diagram, this is what I just kind of explained. You got the barrel jack up top. It's very important to know that our transformer, it does look like some other transformers on the market, but it is not. You know, some of those other transformers might be 7 volts or 12 volts or 14. Ours is 5.5 volts. So our panel is made to handle between 5 and 5.5 volts DC in. As I explained, we got the red and black portions of the terminal that are made for power if you did want to just wire that in yourself. It's very nice how it's toolless. You just kind of push it down, slides in, kind of like how a speaker would work. We've got the 2 sensor groups you could add in. You know, if your panel's next to a door and you want to just hardwire in a sensor, save a zone, you can do that. And then with the external siren, this is just kind of a relayed through where you would have that siren powered up on its own. You know, maximum volt would be a 12 volt DC, and the maximum current is 300 milliamps. As far as some of the software, getting into that. All right, hey guys, we're going to take a 2-minute break just so we can kind of get caught up on some of the questions coming in. Some people are experiencing a slight little technical difficulty, so we're just going to take a short break and we'll start back up in 2 minutes. Thank you. All right, guys, let's resume. I appreciate those that have been chiming in and the questions we've been having. I also appreciate those that have kind of been giving us some support back here. So, on these webinars, we're always, and our trainings that we do, we're always looking to improve them and seeing what we can do better to make them, getting the details out there to you guys and putting on the best trainings we can possible. So if you do ever have any feedback, we'd love to hear it, especially at the end of our presentations. If you ever have some good feedback for us, things you want to hear, let us know, and we do appreciate that. So moving on, we got the home screen overlay. When you look at the home screen of the panel, this is what you're going to see. It's divided into 3 sections. You got the header and settings up top with the weather. You got the time and date, and then you got the message center. That message center can, depending on your company, you can have alarm.com upload your logo there. So like our panels would say Qolsys, but you could have your panel say whatever you needed it to, have whatever logo you needed up there. Then you got the primary user interface and the page indicators that you can see down below. There's 5 there. And what's nice is that if you only had, let's say, the security, you didn't have the locks and garage door, then you're going to have less page indicators. You're not going to have people asking, hey, what are all these extra features here for on my panel that I don't have? And then you do have the emergency buttons there where you can push that and then get into the emergency page. With the message center up top there, when you push that, that part of the header is going to contain, like it says here, the header contains the pull-down settings tray, the weather icon, time and date, some things I went over. Under that message center, you got the contact us, where you can provide, and you will be asked to provide your contact info when you start up the panel. You got the video tutorials. There's about 20 videos on this panel that go over basic questions from how do I arm my panel, how do I bypass sensors, and things like that. And every panel comes with these video tutorials on it. So if your technician does a training and either the customer forgets what they kind of went over because they felt like, hey, I was bombarded with information, or maybe the spouse comes home and they want to know stuff, there's these video tutorials that they can just go through and learn the basics of the panel. I think it's a really awesome feature. Once again, those are the first one's an overview. You can go through arming and disarming the panel, the weather, how the emergency panics work, the camera on the panel. If you had lights, locks, thermostats, it goes over all that, kind of the user management and the photo frame. On the settings tray, so up top, if you just kind of swipe down from the center, you see this quick access tray or quick access settings. Here up top, you got your battery power. You can click on that; it would actually show you where your battery's at. You can click on Wi-Fi, see your strength. If you clicked on your cellular status, it would actually tell you exactly how much strength of cellular you have coming in. You got a quick access right there for the volume of the panel or the brightness, and then down below you got the other quick settings of the panel. So these settings, the settings page allows quick access to various simple features and settings that do not require the protection of a dealer or installer code or the master code. So this would be things that everybody, in your family, if your wife doesn't have a master code or whatever, everybody could access these. So you got the display, adjusting the brightness, the SD card on the side, that weather temperature, you could toggle between the Fahrenheit and Celsius, the status, to be the current status of sensors, the names, just kind of the history of where the battery's at, seeing the status of Z-Wave devices, and then just the status of other devices like lights, locks, thermostats, and the garage door. With software, you have the settings here also of the automation. You can add, edit, manage, local lighting rules. At night, turn lights on at 7 p.m. for the porch, turn them off at 6 p.m. You can also adjust that to sunset, say at sunset or 15 minutes after sunset, turn something on. You can adjust, the front door, so it locks when you arm the system at night, things like that. You got the activity monitor. Activity monitor allows access to disarm sensors that are programmed as 24-hour zones, such as the sensor groups 8, 9, and the specialty zone 25. So a valid master code or user code or guest code is required to control 24-hour activity sensors. So you got two options are provided. You got quick access, which is 300-second temporary access, and then it says deactivate, disarm 24-hour sensors until they are reactivated manually. And then with the advanced settings, to get into those, you're going to have to use either the dealer code, which is defaulted at 2222, or the installer code, which is 1111, or the master code, which comes as 1234 and can be changed. Moving on, with the advanced settings, to access advanced settings, you're going to pull down that center menu to get the access to it. You're going to hit settings on the bottom left, and once you're into that, if you look on this slide, the bottom left part of the slide is what you're going to see if you use the 1111, the installer menu, or if you use the dealer menu, you'll see what access you have there in the advanced settings. So determining on your level of access is going to be determined by what code you use to get in. So you'll notice with the dealer menu, you do have like the date and time on there, and the dealer contact that you can change, and a few additional things that are not on the installer menu. As far as getting started with some of the hands-on stuff with our panel, when you wall mount it, there are some good things to know, and this is something that I would recommend when you guys first get these panels, to take one out as with your technicians or as a technician and take it apart. Take the back plate off and put it on, because this panel is a little tricky to learn how to just snap it together. Once you get it down, it's easy. But that's why we'd rather have you guys do this in the office instead of at a customer's home where you're trying to figure it out there and you're maybe getting your heart's racing because you're like, oh, I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing. So, but with the the wall mount, like it says, press the buttons on the bottom to release the back plate from the panel. There's two buttons on the bottom there that release it. You secure the back plate to the wall using the screws. You run the antenna through hole 2, as you can see there. Our antenna, that 319 antenna, we know the best practice and to get the best strength out of that antenna is to run it through that number 2 hole. Then also the next part is plug in the power supply and use the number 1 and 2 clips, the retaining clips, to kind of take pressure off that. That kind of would make it that even if it was a desk mount and it dropped, it's going to put pressure on those clips instead of on that barrel jack. And then when you place the panel onto the top of the back plate, when you're putting it back in, you're going to push it in and then hinge downward until it snaps into place. Some people also, there's different ways to do this that they kind of come up with, where they rather just put it on level, snap the bottom first, and then kind of roll that back plate up onto the top to hear all 4 snaps. There's 4 places where it snaps at the top of the panel. Optional mounting table, as you see on the bottom part. So every panel comes with a little kickstand or table stand. So you'd be able to remove that back plate, just plug in the barrel power, and then replace that back cover, and then you just connect the table stand using the upper back holes. It just snaps in. So every panel has that table mount possibility. There's a lot of companies out there that just do DIYs, and so they're actually sending their kits with this in mind. As far as with that wall mount, I guess this is just what I went over, is a larger view of it so you can actually see it better. But just there's the buttons to press to disconnect the panel. How you connect it. You do have that strain relief hook. Technicians love that. It's kind of like the third hand for the technician to hold your panel there while you're if you're connecting in the power and sliding that the 319 antenna through that hole number 2. You've got the retainer clips there that we always want people to use to kind of take any stress off the power cord. And then just once again, we do recommend that you practice putting the panel together before you go to a customer's home, just so it you got it down. It is just a little tricky, and that's why we just say practice it before you go to a customer's home. And then once again, you just got the optional mounting with the table stand, and that's included in every box. A really clean table stand. That's how a lot of us have ours set up, personally. As far as the training, so real quick, let me just restart this. We just want to show you guys how to how you can route this antenna and how you should. Oh, so actually, this video that we could show you is on our Qolsys.com page. Through the webinar, it's been lagging and not just hasn't been working clean, so we're going to skip through it. But it's just explaining how to run that antenna through that hole number 2 that we indicated there on the mounting bracket. It is great to get online, our Qolsys.com, and you can look up our videos. That is Kelsey there. She's a part of our marketing team, and she has some great videos online that you guys can check out, as long as some of our Ask Jenny clips. But moving on with the number 2 part of our quick access, or with our installer guide, and so every panel will come with a cheat sheet, you could say, or installer guide. So number 2 would be connect the power supply. Once again, it's a 5.5 volt power supply only. This transformer is made in the same factory as some other companies' transformers that are 12 volts or 14, or even our IQ1 or Gen 1, which is 7 volts. And so you want to make sure you have your technicians, or you replace that transformer every time. That's just a common rule of thumb. In my years of doing this, I have made that mistake before where I did not replace the transformer, and I ended up looking like a fool, and that was my own fault. I deserved to look like a fool and be made fun of for doing it and kind of burning up a device. So make sure you explain that to your technicians, share that with your friends, or use it yourself. Make sure you're using that 5.5 volt power supply or transformer. To turn on the panel, just press and hold the side power button for 3 seconds, and just wait, and it'll power up. The next thing you'll do, is creating that alarm.com account. So you create the account through alarm.com, and we always recommend to try the mobile tech app. Those of you that are new to alarm.com, you can download an app through the App Store, Mobile Tech, and it is amazing. When I first started using alarm.com, I thought it was amazing, and then when they added in this mobile tech app, it just made things so much better for a technician to see what's going on in the house, see what's going on with your install, be able to troubleshoot things, and program and whatnot. So make sure your techs try out the mobile tech app to help things run smoother, do quicker installs. Fifth step is access the advanced settings. So from the main menu, you'll swipe down to access the settings tray, hit settings, then advanced settings, and then hit the installer code, the 1111. That's where you would run a cell test to get that cell strength, make sure things are good. Your panel's in a location where you're going to have proper cell. Our minimum recommendation on that is 2 bars. And that's, most companies, that's where they're at minimum 2 bars, sorry. So make sure you run that cell test properly, that you are getting the right strength. If you do, this is kind of common practice, but if, you're in a location in the home where you are getting poor cell test, you may have to remove that panel to a better location. That better location might even mean, hey, I'm going to have to mount it on a desk using the table mount, or the desk stand. And then after you do that cell test, it's gone through correctly, you got the panel in the spot where you're going to get the proper cell service, then you connect it into the Wi-Fi. On this, when you go into the icon, it's going to look just like this icon on number 7, Wi-Fi. You'll tap on that. On the far right side of the screen is a little box. You'll tap on that box, and it will start searching for Wi-Fi networks. That's where you'll choose your network or the customer's network, and put in the password to connect the panel. Once it's been connected, then the next step we recommend is checking for updates. Since we are Qolsys is a company where we are constantly trying to better the panel, and we do have software updates. Most of these panels that have shipped are on have not been updated to our newest software. So you'll go into the check for updates and upgrade software, and you'll be able to upgrade this using that Wi-Fi connection that you just connected to. If you are a larger company that's doing a lot of installs, a second option that you can do to upgrade panels that is a little quicker is doing it through the micro SD on the side. And when you do that, when you are saying you're going to update the panel, it will give you those two options to either upgrade the panel using the network or through the SD card. As far as those updates, they can be found at Qolsys.com on our dealer site, so you can get those to update your panel quicker. Now you're ready to get started and start installing devices. The IQ2 panel is I believe the best panel out there as far as for the installers. It's very easy. It allows you access to kind of see what's happening as you're installing. So you'll hit that installation icon, which is the drill, and then you would tap on devices. Once you do that, you'll see this next menu here. You got the security sensors is what you'd hit next. You're actually going to see a menu that's going to have security sensors, Z-Wave, Wi-Fi. You'll tap on security sensors first. Start there. You'll have the option to auto-learn your sensors. You tap on that. To learn those sensors in, you can either tamper them or trip them, and then you can customize as desired. You could customize the name. One nice thing about this panel and that Android backup that we have, the partnership, is if you want it to say, Jenny's window, it'll say Jenny's window, and the panel will speak that name. Whatever you type in, if you were to had a dog and its name was, Barney, and you could have it say Barney. You could have it say whatever you would like it to. Customize those names. You hit Add New, and once you do that, you'll see this. So when you auto learn that sensor, it's going to pull up and say, hey, this is the sensor that's being requested to be added. You would hit OK. As you look here, you've got the sensor type, door window. So it's automatically going to know, hey, what kind of sensor was this? Was it a flood? Was it a motion, a glass break? Here, it knows, hey, this is a door window sensor. Then you have the sensor name. If you tap on that, at first you're always just going to see, the front door. If you tap on it, you'll be able to customize the name and then go to the back door, garage door, kitchen window, all that kind of stuff where you could select the name. You got the different chime types that you can do, and then the sensor groups. Those groups, just like you guys are probably familiar with, like the group 10, group 13, with no delay, with motions, you got the 17 to the 20. If you want it to be a specialty sensor, 25. And here on this one menu, you can turn on and off the voice prompts. So you have access to, and it kind of shows you this, hey, this is everything you're doing right here, and then you just add it in. You're not in the blind and just having to memorize what the panel is doing. You're not having to try to answer certain sections and go through it. It's all right here. It's very clean, very intuitive. The next thing we recommend doing is adding, step 11 is adding Z-Wave devices. With the Z-Wave devices, once again, this is set up so you'd follow hitting these icons. You'd hit the Z-Wave icon once you're in devices. You'd add the device. You'd pair it. Once again, you can customize the name and then add new. With Z-Wave devices, we do always recommend that you clear them out or delete them before adding them. A lot of Z-Wave devices in the factory were learned in somewhere else, or if you're doing a takeover, they were most likely already learned into the previous panel. So we always recommend that you clear them out, delete them before you add them in. With the Z-Wave network, it's very important to know that, hey, if you have a panel in the back of your house and you have that lock up front, that Z-Wave's not made to work with just one device. It's made to have a mesh network. And so it's very important that as you do that, you could add in a thermostat, you could add in a light, you could add in a siren, many devices, a flood sensor that's Z-Wave, but you can add in and start building that mesh network. And as you build that mesh network, as a signal travels, the Z-Wave signal travels from the panel to, let's say, this exterior, entry door. It has multiple pathways to get there. That just makes it so it's much stronger. For those of you that have been installing and know that, hey, my sales rep only sold a Z-Wave door lock up front, if that's all that's part of the Z-Wave network, you're most likely going to start having issues and seeing issues with it. You're going to have to add in a lamp, probably a lamp module. Sometimes that'll work, but like we say, the best thing to do with Z-Wave, it's made to work as a mesh network. So you want to get that thermostat in there if you can. Kind of explain to the customer what you can do to make that Z-Wave network strong and reliable. Some of the additional program is the Bluetooth. Like I said, this is an awesome feature of this panel, is being able to add in Bluetooth devices. Here's kind of the map to do that. You just select on Bluetooth devices. Once you've gone into the, when you go through settings and devices, you can select this Bluetooth icon, add the device, which would be most likely your smartphone. You can make edits to it, you can delete it, and this is the Bluetooth. Once again, is only made for disarming the panel. So once you leave, once you come back to your house after you've been gone, it'll disarm the panel to you. As you can see here, you have settings where you could change that timeout, meaning how long you've been, once you've armed the panel, how long you have to be gone before it'll start searching for Bluetooth to turn it off. Our default is 10 minutes, and that's so you don't just arm the panel, it sees your Bluetooth and shuts it off. It allows you to arm the panel, leave the house, and then we'd recommend at least 10 minutes. You'd come back and then it would be able to see your device and disarm the panel. Some more settings, and this here is actually the setting for the amount of minutes. It's defaulted at 10, but you can change it to 5 or whatever you feels right. I do recommend at least 10 minutes, just to allow you to leave the house, leave the area, and then come back, and would automatically disarm the panel. Like I say, if you do have any questions about the Bluetooth, feel free to ask Jeremy over there. He's typing away, answering these questions and helping out on this training, our webinar. With adding devices, Bluetooth, once again, it's just, you hit the add device button, open the Bluetooth page on your mobile device. The panel will search for all available Bluetooths in range. As you can see down here, this device here is Blakeney's iPhone 6. Some people don't name their iPhones or their smartphones, and it just says, like with the iPhone, it would just say iPhone 6 is how it's defaulted. I was at an install the other day where both the wife and the husband just said iPhone 6. If you want to know what Bluetooth device is disarming the panel, it is best to name your iPhone. So like this one says Blakeney's iPhone 6. It has a pairing code. You would touch pair on the panel and then on your phone. So panel first, then your phone. Your mobile device will not show under the paired devices listed on the panel. It doesn't need to. It's not, because it's not going to be constantly paired. All it is the panel searching for that Bluetooth, and as soon as it gets in range, it's going to disarm the panel. And once again, that's where you could add in those rules that, hey, the panel's been disarmed, and my garage door unlocks and the lights turn on and the thermostat gets adjusted. Really neat feature. With the panel glass break, I explained this a little bit earlier, just touched on it, but every panel has the panel glass break built inside. Having the 2 microphones allows the panel to do this through software and hardware. So you got the auto learn, as you can see here, turn that on. You have the panel glass break here. That's what you would select to enable the panel glass break. Once you've done that, here it is. This will pop up. You can name it. It comes in as panel glass break, but if you wanted, if that panel glass break was in the kitchen or in the back of the house, you could actually label it to that area. So then, if there is an emergency, they know, hey, it was in the kitchen, that glass broke, or it was in the you know, the back room or the front entryway. You know, you can change that sensor name. Once you've done that, you just hit add new, and it does take up one of those 128 sensor spots or zones. With the glass break detection, a lot of people, in my years of doing this, I see that they use glass breaks improperly. So we just kind of want to go over the glass break detection requirements. With our glass break, as you can see here, panel installation requirements are wall mounted, power supply connected, the panel glass break detection has to be enabled, and then the panel has to be armed away for it to be on. The detection area is 90 degrees line of sight. No obstacles, no blinds, no shutters, no plantation shutters. That's all gonna, you know, stop, or it's gonna kind of mess up that sound of glass breaking. So you want to make sure, you know, there's line of sight, no obstacles. As far as the minimum, 3 feet minimum from the panel and up to 15 feet max. That's for the panel glass break. Some of the glass break sensors on the market will go up to 25 feet. But we just want to make sure when you do install those glass breaks, hey, they're not made to hear sound around corners, through doors. You can't just install one in the hallway and it's going to cover the whole house. Like I said, line of sight. And with ours, we recommend from the manufacturer 3 feet to 15 feet max. The glass requirements would be the tempered glass. We got plated glass that it covers, insulated glass. The window must be a framed window, and then the minimum dimensions are a 1 foot window, so 12 inches by 12 inches. Anything smaller than that, you're actually going to get a more of a deeper, less of a high-pitched sound, and it's not going to pick that up. So it has to be at least a 1 foot window for it to pick up that pitch of breaking glass. As far as user management, the IQ panel can hold up to 242 user codes. So if you want to start giving them out to your kids, to the in-laws, their own codes, you could add in up to 242. You know, if it was a small business with a lot of employees, each employee could have their individual code, their unique code, and you could see who's disarming the panel and using their code. So 242 individual codes. About the panel, let me go back one more. So as you can see here, you got the dealer codes, the installer, those do not expire. You got the master code, the user code, you got guest codes. That could be for a maid. You could set it up so it's, hey, this code only has access from, you know, 8 a.m. to noon, and you know, if they try to access the house before that time, it's not going to work. Or if it's a certain day of the week, you can set it up so where, hey, I know my maid only comes on Tuesdays. That's where you can set up that code to only work during that time. And then there's the standard duress code that can be added that, you know, many companies use. There are some companies that do not like to use the duress code, but it's a great feature for a customer. You know, you want it to be a code that they can remember. If they are in duress, you don't want them to be like, what was that code? You know, it's good to have it be something that's easy for them to remember. Industry standard that a lot of that we've seen over the years is the 2580. So a little bit about the panel here is, once again, you've got, you know, all these different things that you can see under the About menu. Here is a place under the About menu where you can look for software updates. You could look at the hardware of the panel. You can see what version the panel is at as far as the software update. You can click on it and it'll say version 2.203. You know, if the panel's at 201, you know it needs to be upgraded. So those are things that you're going to find under this and then under the quick access, you're going to see this over here. As far as testing, let's get into the testing and some of the tools we have on this panel that, as we've done these trainings, we've talked with the field. These are things they love, and I hope you guys will be able to use these tools. I always say that anybody can install a panel. You know, a panel can be shipped out to somebody's house. They can buy a panel, you know, off the wall. But to be a technician, you need to understand testing, you need to understand placement. And we've put some tools in here that really make it so a technician can do his job, troubleshoot, understand how things work, understand how the system's set up. So we have all these different system tests. There's several that can be performed on this panel, as you can see here: Wi-Fi test, sensor test, the cell test, the image sensor config, the Z-Wave, the Wi-Fi device test, and the panel GLASSBREAK test. So we're going to go through each of these and kind of show you how they work and how they can be used to make you, you know, that security professional, that technician that really knows what he's doing. And not just, hey, I just installed the panel, but hey, I understand how it works. And I have some tools here that can help me troubleshoot things and understand what strength of connectivity I have with different devices. With the Wi-Fi test, right here it says, you know, the Wi-Fi test checks the IQ panel's connection to your network or the customer's personal internet network. Before running this test, be sure to connect the panel to the network. Of course, if it's not connected, it's not going to work. So see the customization section for directions on connecting to that Wi-Fi if you haven't done that yet. To perform a Wi-Fi test, just touch the run button. A successful test will result in a pass and indicate the date and time that the test was ran at, along with the connection speed. If the test fails, please check the Wi-Fi settings and make sure it's connected to the panel. Here you can see on this test that was ran and screenshotted, it was 97 megabytes per second. It has the date there, it says it passed, all that. So that's the Wi-Fi test. Very nice tool to have on the panel. This next section is the sensor test. This is my favorite test, and I believe it's a tool for the technicians to really be that security professional that understands how the sensors are working, how well they're connected, their strength, that they're sending a signal to the panel. So the panel can, here you can see, can test the connection and communication to each individual sensor. Before running the test, there must be at least one sensor paired to the system. It can only test, you know, sensors it's paired to. That makes sense. But the sensor connection to the panel will appear on the screen. The panel will detect open and close reports. So between each test, if you're tripping sensors, allow 10 seconds. This is because packets are being sent over from those sensors, and if you want to get a true view and that vision of how, hey, how well is my system set up, you're going to want to wait those 10 seconds. So as you trip something, you know, the panel will audibly report and display the results from no signal to perfect, including how many packets were received. For those of you that don't understand packets, when let's say a door window, when a door sensor is tripped, it'll send 8 packets to the panel. The panel doesn't always receive all 8 of those, depending on how far away the sensor is, or if there's walls or cement or things that are obstructing that signal from the panel. If it receives all 8 packets, it's a perfect send. It's in a great placement. If it's 6 to 7 packets, you know, excellent. So how we have it listed. 3 to 5 would be good. 1 to 2 would be minimum, and you'd probably want to consider, you know, if that's a good placement, or if you need to add a repeater in. And if there's no RF packets received, then it's not connecting. So really neat feature here. It's great that, you know, as a technician, as we've explained this to techs and that have even been in the industry for, you know, a decade or so, to finally be able to understand packets, it's a really cool thing. So great tool you have there to understand your sensors, how strong they are, how many packets it's receiving. Once again, if you get the low performance, you are going to want to look at the possibility of adding in a repeater to make sure your sensors are working properly. With Z-Wave, this is awesome here. A lot of you out there have been using Z-Wave, and with the IQ panel too, there's a great tool here to help you understand your network and kind of see how things are connecting, the neighbors they have, and whatnot. So after installing or moving any Z-Wave device, you should always rediscover the network. So you go into Z-Wave testing, you'll hit rediscover the network, and this maps and ensures all devices have the most efficient communication path leading back to the panel. I've seen some technicians where they're learning in Z-Wave right at the panel, and that's where That's why it's important that once you install that device where it's going to be at, or I've also seen people move the panel to go learn in a Z-Wave device. But once everything's in its proper location, it's very important to rediscover that network and have it remap out that best pathway to communicating to the panel. So on here you can see this, I'll use the arrow, but you can kind of see that check mark. 1 second, guys. You can see, you know, this is check the family room light. You can rediscover just that one device, and you can get a result of the status on that device. You know, if the test fails, we recommend that you relocate the device, change the batteries, or rediscover the network. And with Z-Wave, sometimes if it's just, hey, I only have that front door up there and that's it, you don't have a good mesh network, and you're going to really run into some major issues with Z-Wave and it working how it's supposed to. There's neighbor info with the Z-Wave test, so you can use the neighbor info to view which devices can view each other. This helps when you're testing the range of each device. With a lot of the Z-Wave Plus, I've noticed, like at my own house, if I select the front door, and any of the sensors right around it are its neighbors that it can connect to, and as it builds up that mesh network. To do that, you can see here we have listed out the light, bedroom light, front door, thermostat. You just touch that view, pops down a little menu that shows, hey, that light is connected to the front door. That's its neighbor node. That neighbor node means it can go to the front door, and that can go to the panel, just creating a stronger network. With Z-Wave devices, you have counters. You can view a numerical representation of the Z-Wave network. View failed or acknowledged and acknowledge commands as a whole or from an individual device. So these are all tools that you have in the panel just to kind of understand that network, see if things are failing, see how they're connecting, what's passed, and just helping you as a technician, once again, to be that professional that really understands the system. And you're not just an installer, you know, you're a technician that understands how devices are working, how well they're connected. And these are all tools that we've added onto this panel, to just make your lives a lot easier and to help you troubleshoot when needed. This is also one of my favorite things about this panel is the Z-Wave diagnostics. You can view a graphical representation of what's been installed and how that network is going out. So every panel, once the Z-Wave network's been put up, you can see how it's connected. Here we actually have Jeremy Blakeney's house. He's the one that's helping answer questions with this webinar. But you can see on his, you got this green one. It's going to his, this was during the Christmas time, it goes to his Christmas tree. That was a Z-Wave Plus device. These other ones that are dotted yellow are just normal strength, so it's still good. That green is just the strong. In our updated software, so you know, we do need to update this slide. This yellow normal strength has actually been changed to green now, because green it's still good normal strength, so it's going to be a green dotted line, just so you're not confused. But it is really neat, you know, even on your own homes or in a customer's home, to be able to see that Z-Wave diagnostics and view an actual graphical representation of that network. Really neat. So just another example, if you look at the very top here, it says living room POTS light. That light is not connecting directly to the panel. It's actually going through the garage light. So just kind of neat to see that, how the network's working. With the panel glass break test, there's a couple tests that can be done on this network. One of them is the clap test. It's just kind of testing the microphone. And then there's the actual glass break test. This just ensures that the built-in detector and microphones are functioning properly when they need to be. The panel glass break must be enabled under installer settings to access this test. So if you haven't learned that and you haven't enabled the panel glass break, then you're not going to see this test. So over here on the right, it says, hey, to run the test, hit run. The circle will turn yellow when a successful clap test has been detected. So you can run that clap test, you clap, turns yellow, and it shows, hey, the clap is working. The glass break simulator, when you do that test, the circle will actually turn green. We've kind of distinguished that so you don't so you don't mix the two up. So yellow is for the clap test. That's kind of a minimal test just to show, hey, the microphone's working, it is listening. And if you actually have a GLASSBREAK simulator, it's going to turn green. As far as the GLASSBREAK noises go, or simulators, those can be purchased from your local manufacturers that do those, or on our website you can actually download the GLASSBREAK sound. There's also apps that you can purchase that do have breaking glass that you can use for this test. So you know here, like it says, to do this test, select Start. It will enable a 15-minute test mode where the panel arm. So this is when you're testing your GLASSBREAK when you're running your sensors. So select Start. It enables that 15-minute test mode when you've armed the panel to away, and then enables the panel's GLASSBREAK detector to be tripped using a GLASSBREAK simulator. Once tripped, an alarm will be sent to the central station. So that's what you're going to do to test the panel GLASSBREAK, or that zone, when you're testing all of your zones. Next thing is the panel test. It runs through it and test all panel processes, either all at once or one at a time. So you select Run here, or you can, if you just want to do one, or you can at the bottom you can hit Run All, and it goes through all the different things. See these test names like the arm, the disarm, the camera, the photos, help videos, and it goes through and it's making sure, doing a diagnostic of the whole panel and just letting you know, hey, everything's good, everything's working like it should. This is just one more tool to help you be a better technician and help you do your job, or help your technicians do their job and be that security professional. The next thing we want to go over is the user interface. Very clean, very intuitive. So you've got this modern swiping navigation. Up top, you can swipe down. That's to access the settings. If you look over on the left, there's an up-down scroll. If you had multiple, door locks or garage doors, lights, you can actually scroll up and down on that section. The left to right swipes are to change pages. And then that bottom right, you just touch those icons, that would be for your panics. Very smooth. Let's say if you touch that weather up top, you're going to have the 4-day weather populate on the screen very quickly. You'll see that 4-day weather. Once you're done seeing that, you can either swipe away to dismiss it, or you can tap outside of that part of the screen. So you can just tap up above it or below it, and it'll dismiss the weather. With the message center, easy access to your provider's contact information, including phone number, email, and website. When your technicians first boot up the panel, it's going to ask them to enter this information. So you got to make sure, hey, that your proper company's name in there, the phone number you would like the customer to be able to contact. Those contact means the phone number and email, and then also just the company's website. And then once like I said earlier, you can also have it so that icon, instead of just being an envelope, it can actually be your company's icon. The video tutorials, like I said, I explained this earlier, and I think it's good to kind of go over things more than once, but these videos can just help understand basic things about the systems for a customer. That top one, you're going to see the overview of the system, arming, disarming video, how the weather works. There's a video on emergency panics, a video understanding the panel camera, how you could delete pictures it took, different things like that. There's another video going over lights, how to turn them on and off, how you can dim them, how you could turn them all on at once or all off at once or just individually. There's a video explaining locks, how the Z-Wave lock works. Another one going over the thermostat, one for user management, and also one for the photo frame. Really good videos, video tutorials that just make it so a member of the family wasn't there, or maybe the customer felt overwhelmed during the explanation of the panel. He can go back and they can watch these videos to understand how to use their panel, and especially the basic features of the panel. To watch a video, you just touch on that thumbnail. The video begins playing automatically. The video controls appear on the screen, and then to exit, you just hit that back button to get out of it. With message alerts, if there's ever been something that's happened, you know, a sensor went off, maybe you'd like it where the bills due, that pops up, hey, your bill's due on this date. Maybe the power went out. Any of those message things, or in other panels you might have heard status alerts. You just click on that icon, it pops up, and then you can acknowledge them. Once they've been acknowledged, they are removed from the panel. A lot of you guys may feel like I do on my phone. As soon as I see a bubble populate, you know, it might be because of an iMessage or a text message or an email. Hey, I know something's there. I follow that bubble. I'm able to look at things, and then it automatically clears out. The panel works the same way, very intuitive. The emergency panics. Touch on that bottom button. To be UL listed, it has to be a two-step process. You can't just touch on it and an alarm goes off. So you touch that bottom right icon that has the shield to fire or the plus symbol. It'll pop up and you see police, fire, and emergency panics. You can once again, if you didn't mean to do this, you can swipe these away or touch outside of the screen to get rid of them. Below the police and emergency panic, you actually can have the option to do a silent alarm on those ones. So you got as you can see there, with the fire, you don't have that option, but with police and emergency, you can do a silent alarm if you don't want the panel to go off. Of course, if somebody was breaking in, you might want it to make noise to scare them away also. As far as the sensor activity, our panel is set up with the home screen, where if there's ever an active sensor, like this front door here, it's going to show as active. So when you're going to arm your system, you can know, oh, the front door is already open. If it's closed, you're not going to see any active sensors. So that's the default. If you just go over to the right from active, you see all. You can click on that and you would be able to see all of your sensors. And that's where you kind of have that sensor status open. It's kind of an opened up circle. Closed is completed. You got the active, be like a motion, idle. If there's something that's unreachable or tampered, those are the symbols you have on that little sensor status key on the bottom right here. For the arming the system, you just touch that lock, the unlock button. So touch to access the arming options. This top left part is what it is defaulted at. So it would pop up. You'd see you can either arm it to stay or arm away. If you want to open that tray to have more options, you just touch on those arrow keys. And then you see on the bottom left here, now you're going to see more. You're going to be able to bypass sensors. So right there, it shows the active ones. On this, shows, hey, the front door is active and the living room motion's active. You know, if you want to bypass those, you just touch it, and then you could hit the arm stay or arm away. With the exit sounds, you can have the option to turn those on or off, and you also have the option there to turn the entry delay on or off if you just want to get rid of the entry delay. So very, very nice features. And this panel has been designed that as you pick it up, as you go through it, it's very easy to pick up and just learn how to use it. Very, very, very user-friendly. With lights, with the page indicators, if you were to swipe over to your lights, you can see you have a dimmer for your Z-Wave lights, light bulbs, that you could just adjust the brightness. You have it on and off. If you just touch the light bulb on that specific device, like right here, you can just touch that and it'll turn that bulb on or off very, very quick. I had someone over at my house last night. My brother-in-law was in from out of town. I was kind of showing him the system and showing him how my kitchen light just on, off. Kind of going over some of the rules with him and how our panel works. If you did want to select multiple lights, you can select these buttons here, and then you could turn them all on at once or all off, you know, however you'd like to do that. As far as if you ever want to get status, you just touch this and you'll be able to get status of all the lights, just to kind of get that good overview of what's happening with your Z-Wave light devices. With the locks, you can touch the key icon to unlock or lock the device. If you have multiple locks, you can swipe up or down here to swipe in between locks. Once again, you have the status here, that you can get the status of those locks. And then you got the unlock all or lock all. So if you didn't want to just do the individual lock, you can unlock all of them or lock all of them by pushing this over here on the right. Very intuitive. The thermostats. So once again, if you had multiple thermostats, you could swipe up or down. If you want to change that thermostat from the panel, it's right here. One thing I do love about the thermostat on the panel, especially at my own house, at some friends' houses I've been to, is my thermostat in my house just doesn't look that good. It's hard for me to know what's going on. And when I come over to the panel, it's much easier just to see, okay, 68 degrees, you know, the fan, I can either turn that on, I can turn it to auto, you know, you got the heat, the cool, the auto, off, you know, it's much easier to use. It's great just to see, you can see the battery there, you can see the current temperature, what I have it set at. So I always recommend, you know, you can explain to customers, hey, this is a place where you can go to have a better view of your thermostat, and you can also go into the alarm.com website and set up those schedules and really get the most out of your smart thermostat and have it be used how it should be. The garage doors, great device. For the garage door to populate, it's going to have to be a Z-Wave device, the linear Z-Wave device. If it's just a device that goes through Wi-Fi, it's not going to populate on the panel. So the LiftMasters, the MyQ LiftMasters are not going to populate on the panel here. Those, as you guys may know, they will still be in the alarm.com app, the mobile app online, but not on the panel. That's just for Z-Wave devices. So you can open and close it just by touching the icon. That is kind of nice too. If, hey, I left my garage door open, I don't have to go down and open the garage door. I can just go to the panel and I can close it from the panel. If you do have multiple, once again, you can switch between the garage doors by swiping up or down. And then if you want to open all or close all, just like with the locks, you can do that all at once just by touching the icon on the right. As it shows there, it's not available when the garage door is already closed. So that's kind of nice that it's intuitive like that. It kind of just shows you, hey, it's already closed. As far as some of our support, at Qolsys, we want to make sure all of you feel very supported out there. You know, we're an open book. All of our resources, materials that we put online. We put out Qolsys.com. We've also put them out. We've had YouTube videos that we've created that you can access. So if you do go to the Qolsys.com page, you will see these technical downloads, installation manuals. You see this quick guide. This quick guide is what is included in every panel. You have the different manuals. You know, detect the sound of glass breaking. Download there, and then with our dealer portal, you got documentation, sales and marketing material. There's training material, support, and then there's our Ask Jenny videos, and we also have the Kelsey videos, and those can also be accessed at YouTube. On YouTube by searching Qolsys, Quality of Life Systems. So you can see all of our videos that we've posted. And then for tech support, you can always call into our 855-4-QUALCYS that we have here. That is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's our Tier 1 and Tier 2 tech support. If you ever felt like, hey, I have a really serious question that I feel like they're not going to be able to help me with, and you have some time, you can always email tech support at Qolsys.com. That'll go directly to our Tier 3 tech support team. So you do know, if you do call into the Qolsys, the 855-4-QUALCYS tech support number, if the Tier 1 or 2 agent is not able to help you, they will most likely, they just end up calling the Tier 3 agents and keeping you on the line to answer that question. But we do want to really help you guys out with being, having a solid tech support for you guys and support just with any issues you have. If you do want access to our dealer site, go to dealers.qolsys.com and you can register. Like I said, we want as many people to be able to register as possible to access the dealer portion of our site and to be able to get to the dealer portal where we have this additional documentation and sales and marketing material, whatnot. As far as Q&As, guys, I hope this training, this webinar has been very informative for you. So, you know, we're going to leave this webinar open for the next, 10-15 minutes. So if you do have any questions, Jeremy will be able to help you. You can chat in just through the message center, and he'll answer any questions you have. The last thing I ask is, once again, my name is Mark Bateman. Me, Jeremy, our team are of TAMs here at Qolsys. We want to do the best trainings that we can, and if there's anything you said, hey, you could have touched on this more, or you could have explained this better, we'd love to know that. Like I said, we want to do the best job we can and put forward a good training product for you guys in these webinars. So feel free to give us any feedback. I can always be reached at mark.bateman, B-A-T-E-M-A-N, at qolsys.com if you do want to reach out to me directly. We appreciate you attending this training, and once again, we will leave the training open for the next 10 to 15 minutes, so you can ask any questions needed to Jeremy, and we'll be supporting you there. Thank you so much, guys, and we appreciate you.